welcome to palletparty.org. Today I want to do a training video on how to make a completed sign. We've got lots of examples over here, and so we're going to go through that process today. Online you will find we have a do-it-yourself kit. It comes with everything you need to complete your own sign. It's got stencil sealer, your card, paint brushes, your pick, and then our step-by-step pictured instructions. So our process is to make this as easy as possible for you and to make it just a fun experience with no artistic ability required. So we're going to start off today. I have, when you order signs or whatever your surface is, this is a 5 by 17 inch sign, and I have a stencil here. Together is my favorite place to be. For time's sakes, I've already went ahead and pre-painted the background. So we are going to start just by laying the stencil on. For your backgrounds, a couple quick tips. I always wipe any surface that I'm going to use a stencil on with rubbing alcohol. Any brand, just a cheap rubbing alcohol. It cleans dust, debris, and makes your stencil stick much better. So that's whether you're painting on glass, mirrors, wood, cloth, furniture, all of that type of stuff. Secondly, there are lots of different techniques you can use for painting a background. This is more of a solid background. You can take paint and a baby wipe and actually wipe it on, and that creates more of a stain look, and that way you can do it with any color. Or you can do a dry brush technique where you just gently dip your brush into the paint and lightly go over your board, and that will create that more rusticy, hazy look, and you can do as heavy or as light as you want. So, first step for applying your stencil is you're going to take your smoothing card. You're going to just quickly go over your stencil on a flat surface, and you're going to remove the backing. The back is solid white. You do not want to remove this tape. I always fold up the corner of my stencil and then just peel this backing part off. So now you have tape on the front, which is your transfer tape, and just your stencil, and you're going to lay sticky side down, get it placed where you want on your board, and then again take your smoothing card and go over it to get your vinyl to stick nicely onto the wood. Then we're going to remove this transfer tape, which it's easiest to start in one of the corners, and I always push with my thumbs and actually roll it back. A lot of people will try to pull the transfer tape like this, and what happens is it lifts your vinyl back off, and then you've got to try to stick that back down. So if you just kind of push and roll as you're applying that pressure, it creates a good seal between the adhesive vinyl and the surface that you are painting it on. If any of your middles, like the O has a middle, the E has a middle, if any of those come up on the transfer tape, you can simply lay it back down, kind of rub over it, because you want all of the black to stay onto your board and not be removed with your tape. There you go. Now your stencil's in place. So your next step is our wonderful Dixie Belle Clear Coat Satin. This is what we use as stencil sealer. The stencil sealer, even though our projects are smooth and they're planed and ready to be painted, wood still has grooves and crevices that paint can bleed through. So this just helps to make sure that you don't get that extra bleed through under the stencil. I just simply get a little bit on my brush, and I personally like to apply stencil sealer in circles. The the more directions that you paint the stencil sealer in, the better it's going to create a seal. A lot of people tend to just, do up and down. Well, then you're not really sealing the sides. So circles are your best friend. And you just very, very light coats. There should not be gobs or anything like that. And you don't have to be neat because the black is all going to be removed and thrown away. And this should only take about 2 to 3 minutes to dry. And then you should be ready for your first coat of paint. And be sure to rinse your brush immediately because that sealer will harden your brush. So while our board is drying, I want to just briefly talk to you about our Dixie Belle paint products. Dixie Belle is a chalk mineral water-based paint. They have products to create any arts and crafts activities, do it yourself, furniture flipping, and their products are exceptional. We have tried many different types of chalk paint products and none of them can even compare to Dixie Belle. So here you will see Dixie Belle has over 60 colors of paint. All of them are very vibrant. They create great coverage. Here is an example. They do also have some metallic colors as well. Along with their line of paint, they also have a variety of clear coat finishes. So you've got flat, gloss, satin. This easy peasy wax right here, that is for actually painting furniture. So that old chair that you no longer fits your home decor, you can actually repaint it, use our furniture stencils and give that chair a whole new life. This sea spray and this Dixie Belle mud are both different types of texture additives that again you can use, and both of them are paintable and it brings dimension to your product. They work great with the stencils. The different types of glazes. So Dixie Belle offers a huge variety of glazes that provide different finishes, and all of these are meant to sit inside the nooks and crannies of a piece and just apply some different looks and texture to whatever it is that you're painting, your painting surface. They also have a variety of tools. Blue sponges are great for clear coating and doing your top coat on different products. Spatula for your Dixie Belle mud. Sanding sponges, which create great smooth surface. And we do have our how-to books so that you know how to use each of the products. You can paint metal, glass, wood, fabric, furniture, pretty much you name it. We've done walls. My son's room we just finished and it created a beautiful look to his walls. He has plaster walls and you can always see all the cracks and imperfections of plaster, and the coverage is amazing on it. So, all right, so we've got two colors here. We have Dixie Belle the Gulf and Dixie Belle Stormy Seas. Both of these are just bottles that I've transferred the paint into. It normally comes in just your regular 8 ounce, 16 ounce, 32 ounce containers. So I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of this. Actually, I use the back of the stencil to put my paint on, just so I'm not wasting extra supplies. And so I'm going to squirt just a little bit of both those colors. I'm going to take my brush, and I'm actually going to mix colors for this sign. So I've dipped in both colors, and I'm just gently going to paint in any open spaces with the colors for the stencil. And again, you want to do clear light coats. You don't ever want to paint heavy. The heavier you paint, the more likely it is to have that bleed through, which just means more touch up at the end. So we'll quickly go over this one. A lot of times you will find that you may want to put on 2 coats of paint, which is perfectly fine. Let this one dry for 3 to 5 minutes, and then you can apply a second coat. And it all is just based on what kind of coverage you want on your piece. For the bottom, I'm going to go for more of the gray look. Again, you do not have to be careful because your stencil is going to get thrown away, so you can, just quickly go over things, and that's what makes this process so easy. So while this one is drying, I want to show you one that is a multi-layered stencil. Multi-layered means that there are 2 different stencils with the same design. And the reason being is there is an outline stencil. So this little owl is an outline. And then we have to be able to create these colors inside. So the opposite stencil is the inside pieces of the stencil so that you can put those colors next to each other easily. So again, to save time, you can look and see how messy this is, and that's okay. But I've already painted in the bigger pieces of the owl, so now we're ready for the outline. So when you do this, you just simply remove all of your vinyl. And during removal, this little pick is going to be your best friend. You use the dental pick to gently lift up and remove any pieces that you can't easily remove just by peeling. And I will share with you that this owl is one of our most difficult ones just because there are so many pieces to him or her. And there are other multi-layered stencils, ones that typically might have a large last name. A lot of our monograms have a last name letter in the background, and then the last name is actually written across that letter. Those are not quite as challenging, but still follow the same process where you remove the first layer of vinyl before putting on the second layer. So here's my little owl. As you can see, I had some bleed through right there, not a big deal, but you can see all these lines, which are this background color. I'm now going to apply the second stencil to cover up all these colors to be able to paint these into a black outline. So again, I'm just going to go over my stencil with my smoothing card. You will notice that this stencil has a clear transfer tape, which just makes it easier for me to line up when I am applying it as a second layer. So now we've got that backing pulled off, and we are going to lay exactly over, I don't know if you can see that, but you can line it right up with the layer that's underneath there. And once you've got it lined up, again, you're just going to smooth it out. Run over it with your smoothing card. And then we're going to remove this transfer tape the same way. I'm not using the bottom flower for my sign, so that one is okay to come off. And this transfer tape, the clear, I personally like the white better. The but it is definitely a personal preference, but I do have an easier time removing the white transfer tape. We use a semi-permanent vinyl, so it should not remove background paint, but it's not the kind of vinyl that you would use for, let's say, a car decal, because it's not made to be permanent. It's safe to put on the wall and not have it rip off paint when you remove it. And then for transfer tape, we use a medium tack, and that's also because we don't want it to be so sticky that it's pulling the vinyl back off as we're trying to remove this transfer tape. And as you can see, things like this is still stuck here. I'm just gonna lay it back down, kind of work with it to make sure it stays stuck where it's supposed to before pulling that transfer tape all the way off. So there is our second step. And as you can see, it's covered up the majority of all of our inside colors. So now we're going to follow the same process as always, which is apply the stencil sealer, let that dry, and then apply your coat of paint, and then remove this vinyl, and you will have a black outline around the actual owl. So now that we have gone through that, we'll go back to our first sign, and now we are simply going to just remove the vinyl. I always start in one corner. You do not have to be gentle. So we now look like this. And so we're going to take our little dental pick, and we're going to lift up these extra pieces of vinyl that are left behind. And you want to be careful not to gouge your board, but you can lift up under the corner of each of these little middle pieces. And when you're shopping on a retail store, please know, like, there are over 900 designs. New designs are being added every single week. We do custom orders, which means a customer can actually create their own design. Once that is created and we have an image to put to the website, we will add it for others to put on. So you could use these for gifts, for weddings, front porch decoration, customized home decor. We have some great nursery and new baby designs. And again, if we don't have it, just let us know what you want and we'd love to create it for you. We have all the supplies needed, so whether you're just doing this as an individual or if you want to do it as a business, you know, let us know. We'd love to supply different things for you. But here, that's our finished product. And you can do a world of different things with this as well. You can apply glaze and maybe give it some shimmer. You could sand it down to give it more of a rustic look. You could apply wax, and that would just kind of give it a matte but softer finish. So there are so many different things that you can do with the stencils, and as I said, you can apply them to any surface and they just create beautiful pieces of artwork with our surprisingly simple, amazingly fun process. So go shopping and have fun.